Hello guys. So this is going to be a lesson about different kinds of sentence problems that can come up. So different ways where you can write a sentence that are incorrect and fail to really make a correct sentence. Sometimes those mean fragments where you just have a part of a sentence. Sometimes they mean run-ons where you have two or more sentences just crammed together without any punctuation, and sometimes that means comma splices, where you have sentences stuck together with commas instead of the correct forms of punctuations and things like that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through all of these different ones through all of these different kinds of sentence problems. There should be, let's see, there should be 5 different ones. What you are going to be expected to do to complete the assignment for this is you're going to make an example. You're going to make 2 examples of each one of these kinds of sentence problems. And you are going to then correct each of those examples. So you should end up with 2 run-on sentences, 2 comma splices, and 6 different fragments, because there's 3 kinds of fragments. And then that'll be 10 altogether, and then you will do 10 corrected ones after that for a total of 20. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go through this PowerPoint, and then when I'm done, you'll do that assignment. You can work on it while you're listening if you'd like. Sentence problems. The following slides should help you to better understand fragments, commas, semicolons, run-ons, and comma splices. Your textbook does have sections on these areas. This content will be on the Grammar Bootcamp assessment and the final. Students are expected to use these concepts correctly in their writing. So, please take notes, just like we did in class before, but of course this PowerPoint is also available to you. A fragment is an incomplete sentence. It is mistakenly punctuated as a complete sentence. We saw some fragments when we looked at different kinds of comma problems. Fragments are the same things as dependent clauses a lot of times, where it's part of a sentence but it's missing a either a subject or a verb or a predicate rather, and or it is an incomplete thought. So it could have both of those, but it isn't completing its thought. If you want to look up sentence fragments in the OER, this is where you would find that, in the grammar section of the OER. Anyway, we're not going to need that though. So often fragments are missing a verb or part of a verb string. This example here, John working extra hard on his book, on his hook shot lately. Oh, sorry. John working extra hard on his hook shot lately. Yeah, so it's missing some words here. We have our subject and we have our verb, and we understand what they're trying to say here, but they're missing some stuff that we need in order for this to make sense. So the corrected way here is, John has been working extra hard on his hook shot lately. That makes that into a correct sentence. Sometimes it's missing a subject. So the example this gives, wandering through the streets around midnight. This one, it doesn't have a subject, so we don't know who's wandering around the streets around midnight. Could be anybody. So some ways to correct that. The teens were wandering through the streets around midnight. Wandering through the streets around midnight, we witnessed an accident. It could be us, it could be the teens, it could be anybody. So to correct it, you need to add a subject. Sometimes it is a dependent clause punctuated as an independent clause. By that it means it's an incomplete thought. So, even though he aggravated the entire audience with his grotesque jokes. So, we know the subject here is he, and we know the predicate aggravated. If we just said he aggravated the entire audience with his grotesque jokes, that would be a independent clause. But because we have even though here, we need to show what happened even though he aggravated the audience that way. So, even though he aggravated the entire audience with his grotesque jokes, the manager asked him to perform again the following night. Sometimes a sentence fragment can give you a great deal of information, but it is still not a complete sentence. So the example they give here, after the coach encouraged him so much last year, and he seemed to improve with each passing game. So the problem here is, again, it's an incomplete thought. If we said, the coach encouraged him so much last year and he seemed to improve with each passing game, that would be fine. That would be a complete sentence. But because we said after at the beginning of this, we need to show what happens after that. I believe that's what they're saying down here. Here we have a subject-verb relationship. In fact, we have two of them, but the entire clause is subordinate by the dependent word after. So, yeah, we need this, because we have after here, we need to attach this to an independent clause. Do they fix this? So we would probably say, after the coach encouraged him so much last year, and he seemed to improve with each passing game, he quit the team his senior year. Something like that. Be alert for strings of prepositional phrases that never get around to establishing a subject-verb relationship. A lot of students end up writing sentences that are like this one that we just showed you and this one here. Immediately after the conclusion of the football game, with the crowds of people exiting the stadium. So you get to the end of that sentence, you could read the whole thing, you could feel like that's got enough words to be a complete sentence. But we still need to know what happened immediately after. In order for this to be a complete sentence. Immediately after the conclusion of the football game, with the crowds of people exiting the stadium, a thunderstorm started. Again, be careful of sentences that give their share of information but still do not contain a subject and verb. Fragment leaves you hanging. It does not matter the length. If it is not a complete thought, it is not a sentence. Okay, so this gives you one set of instructions. I'm going to give you another set of instructions. Create 6 different fragments. Two of them should be missing a subject. Two should be missing a predicate, and 2 should just be incomplete thoughts. So, examples of those: missing a subject, on the way to church. That's a fragment that's missing a subject because we don't know who's on the way to church. I think that's right. Yeah. Missing a predicate. This one has a subject, but it doesn't have them doing anything. And then an incomplete thought would be something like, because I live in Houston. Capitalize Steve. Then, once you're done with that, you need to show the corrected versions of those. So, on the way to church, I bought McDonald's. My Uncle Steve lives next door. Because I live in Houston, I root for the Astros. Yeah, so 2 of each one, 2 wrong ones for each of these, and then the corrected ones for each one. Yeah, we're not going to do all this stuff. Okay. Run-ons also cause fused sentences. This is... A run-on is 2 sentences joined together with no separation. These are a little simpler than fragments. This video probably doesn't work anymore, so we're going to ignore that. If you want to look up run-ons and fused sentences in the OER, you can look there. It's towards the end. I'll post the OER in our class. Let's think, okay. Run-ons. Let's think of an independent clause as an independently operated train headed west, getting connected to another train headed east. Nothing good is going to happen from coupling these trains clauses incorrectly. Some students think they can study for an important exam by cramming all night. They are probably wrong. You could probably hear in the way that I read that isn't punctuated correctly, but this is 2 independent clauses that are connected with nothing. They are just crammed together here. Some students think they can study for an important exam by cramming all night. There should be a period there. And then they are probably wrong is another independent clause. How can we correct that run-on? We can insert a period and start a new sentence. Some students think they can study for an important exam by cramming all night, period. They are probably wrong. We can insert a comma plus a coordinating conjunction. Some students think they can study for an important exam by cramming all night, comma, but they are probably wrong. We could also use a semicolon. Some students think they can study for an important exam by cramming all night, semicolon. They are probably wrong. Coordinating conjunctions. We've probably covered this already in class. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Those are fanboys, if you remember from school. And those are used to connect independent clauses with independent or dependent clauses, or put words together and stuff. They're very useful. Another way to correct run-ons, if any idea gives secondary information, use a technique called subordination. Chung gets straight A's. He's studying all the time. Make one idea an adverb clause. Chung gets straight A's because he studies all the time. or an adjective clause. Chung, who studies all the time, gets straight A's. So one of these is describing how he's studying all the time, and the other one is describing him. But anyway, good way to do this is by adding because. That's a subordinated conjunction, and then you don't even need a comma. This one is just adding a phrase that describes Chung and makes it into a single sentence. If you have two or more complete thoughts in one sentence, make sure that they are separated by an appropriate punctuation. Okay, and finally, comma splices. Comma splices connect two independent clauses with only a comma. That's the same thing as a run-on, but you're using a comma instead of nothing. There's a YouTube video that probably doesn't work still. Sentence, my glasses are not strong enough. I cannot get to my eye doctor until next week. If you're reading through, it might feel like this is punctuated correctly because it does have a piece of punctuation, but it needs to be a period here instead of a comma, or it needs to be something else. It needs to have a conjunction just like the other one, or it needs to have a semicolon. How can we correct that comma splice? Insert a period, like I just said. My glasses are not strong enough. I cannot get to the doctor until next week. Insert a comma plus a coordinated conjunction. My glasses are not strong enough, comma, but I cannot get to the eye doctor until next week. Probably and would have been better. We can use a semicolon. My glasses are not strong enough, semicolon. I cannot get to the eye doctor until next week. You can also use subordination, just like we did before. Even though my glasses are not strong enough, comma, I cannot get to the eye doctor until next week. Yeah, you couldn't use because there. Yeah. Okay. So here's some more YouTube links if you want to go and explore those. Like I said, your assignment is, you've seen 3 kinds of sentence fragments. I want you to be able to see 3. You've seen run-ons and you've seen comma splices. I want you to give me 2 examples of each of those and then correct all of those examples. You should end up with 20 different things written on your assignment. These instructions will be on the assignment page as well. And that will count for your asynchronous thing that you have to do for this session of class. Alright guys, good luck. I'll see all of you next time we're in class together.